Welcome all! In this mind-blowing video, we are going to tell you about an important fatal disease in mainly goats and sheep. We unfortunately only have a couple of minutes, so only the most important information of this disease will be discussed. Without further ado, let's get this party started. Fasten your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. The disease we're going to talk about today is called PPR. It stands for Peste, petits ruminants. And yes, that is indeed very, very French. PPR causes clinical symptoms in goats and sheep. Sheep seem to be the cooler one and often don't care that much about the presence of the virus in their very own bodies. Goats, like Gerrit here, on the other hand, are much softer and more sensitive in general. After an incubation period of 3 to 6 days, fever occurs. Nasal discharge and loss of appetite follow shortly. The nasal discharge will quickly become a crusty mucopurulent discharge that blocks the nostrils and causes major respiratory issues. Secondly, the virus induces necrotic stomatitis due to hyperemia of the oral mucosa. As if that is not enough for poor Gerrit, third eyelid infections that lead to conjunctivitis are very common at this stage. In the end, Gerrit will die of dehydration because of the onset of severe diarrhea. So in conclusion, for goats, ce n'est pas bien. Ce n'est pas bien for other wildlife species either. Gazelles, oryxes, and white-tailed deer seem to have caught the shortest straw. Just like goats, they don't like to be infected by the virus and would much rather be in heaven than on earth. After a not too long period of illness, they cross over to the other side. Camels seem to develop some digestive and respiratory symptoms as a result of PPRV infection. The virus might even play a role in the camel sudden death syndrome, which occurs in the Horn of Africa. Buffalo and cattle, on the other hand, are a completely different case. They are dead-end hosts. They don't like being by themselves all the time and appreciate the company of the virus in their bodies. And because they like the virus so much, they, very understandably, don't want to share it or even transmit it to other animals. In reservoir animals like Gerrit, however, the virus can be transmitted through direct contact with secretions and excretions of infected animals. Large amounts of the virus can be found in saliva, feces, and in nasal and ocular discharges. Non-contact transmission over a couple of meters is possible as well. The disease can be diagnosed when clinical symptoms occur. A swab of the mouth, eye, nose, or rectum can be taken and later on tested by means of PCR and ELISA. Both tests are needed to be able to differentiate between rinderpest and PPR, because these diseases are so closely related. So where in the world does PPR actually occur? The virus was first found in 1942 in Ivory Coast. Since then, the virus has spread to other parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. The disease might cause problems in the future in Europe as well, since only recently an outbreak in Turkey has been reported. The economic impact of PPR in the affected areas depends on a couple of factors. Due to the high morbidity and high mortality of the disease, the economic impact is often big. Goats that, unlike Gerrit, do survive an infection, weigh less and have a decreased milk production. The quality of their hair and wool is worse too. This all combined leads to a reduction in market value of the animals. Even the love life of many people is at stake after a PPR outbreak, since goats and sheep are in some cultures used as dowries. So, if you are living in an endemic area and you really want to marry that nice girl or boy next door, prevent a disaster and start vaccinating your tiny living dowries. An attenuated vaccine is used, so you only need to vaccinate them once and they will be protected for 3 years. It is an investment, but let's face it, you can't put a price on love. The question arises if it is possible to eradicate PPR like we have done with rinderpest. The answer is still unknown. Factors that were favoring the eradication of rinderpest were available, simple and effective diagnostic tests, reliable and safe vaccinations, only transmission by close contact, economic stimulation for local and national participation. Also, compliance to the program was needed and a deadline had to be set to put pressure on countries to take measures and to become rinderpest free. An important note has to be made. Rinderpest couldn't be transmitted by a lot of wildlife species, so these wildlife species didn't really play a role in the spread of the disease. What exact role wildlife plays in the transmission of PPR is still not clear. More research is needed in this area to be able to construct an efficient program to eradicate PPR and to save future gerrits. We hope that this video helps with creating some awareness of the disease. After all, it is nearing our borders and we can no longer look the other way.